everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a quick holiday crafting project almost. Basically, we're making a holiday apron. You saw that in the title of this video. And this is actually a collaboration on Costube that is hosted by Annabelle of Horizon Cosplay. I will link her down below. I will also put a link to the playlist of everyone who is participating in this collaboration. And at first, honestly, I didn't really think that I was going to join in on this. And then I realized that the apron that I use all the freaking time is falling apart. I've had it since like 2008, I think, and I wear it actually more for eating than I do for cooking because, you know, messy and I don't want to spill on myself. And although I made a lovely history-bounding Victorian style apron last Christmas, it's white and lace and I don't want to spill on white and lace and get stains and stuff on that. So today I wanted to make an apron that it's okay to spill on because it's an apron. Like, that should kind of be how it works. So anyway, this is the pattern that I will be using. It's the only apron pattern I had in my stash, Simplicity 2592. And it looks like it is a reprint of a vintage pattern, or at least heavily inspired by, actually I think a couple vintage patterns, because they show that here on the envelope as well, those two right there. And they did make some changes, mostly in the design choices, fabric choices, it looks like, of the current models of those aprons, and I do not love their design changes, but anyway, this is the one that I've decided to use because it's the one that I have. Frankly, for an apron, you really don't probably even need a pattern. It's pretty simple. I didn't use a pattern last year, but we're gonna see what this one does because this collaboration is designed to be a little bit more retro style as far as I know. So I was all set to really kind of copy, I don't know how well you're going to see this, but really kind of copy this apron right here, this red and white or pink and white striped one. And I almost bought the exact same fabric that I used for my peppermint bustle last year because they still had that at Joann's. And I was carrying around the whole store, just about to go to the cutting counter, when I happened across a different fabric and completely changed my design plan. So I am no longer going to go with the cool directions of stripes and stuff, which is good because that makes this project harder. I am going to go with really cute penguins and other winter animals because it was just so cute. It's got penguins and foxes and polar bears and all sorts of stuff. And I've just got to say, I know I'm wearing a penguin sweater. When I pulled out this sweater to wear this morning, it did not even dawn on me that I would be wearing a blue penguin sweater while making a blue penguin apron, but I guess that is my aesthetic. I did realize it, of course, before I started filming, and I decided to just go full in and wear penguin earrings as well. So today is a penguin day, and we are going to try and make this project from start to finish today. I've already washed this. I've already cut out my pattern pieces. Now, I haven't actually looked at the pattern instructions yet, but one thing that it says to do, which I think is really, really weird, is even for this apron, which is the one that I'm making, the one that has the zigzag trim and the bib top, even for this apron, it says to cut the skirt in two separate pieces, a top zigzag and a bottom zigzag. And on that one, they're gonna have you put eyelet trim in between. I didn't want to use eyelet trim. I really wanted to use rickrack because they loved rickrack on vintage aprons. So frankly for me, even though they have you cut the upper and the lower like this and then seam them together, which seems like so much extra work, I'm just gonna like combine them from the get-go and just cut out the rectangular-ish pieces, and I will mark where that line is and put my rickrack where that line is, but I'm not gonna cut it out separately because that is just silly and so much extra work. So I think that's gonna be the main change that I do on this. I did debate about using multiple fabrics and like cutting it top to bottom, and that was just gonna be too much work. So mine is going to be entirely penguins and polar bears and foxes, and I'm ready to get cutting. So I'm not gonna make a mock-up. This is an apron. I'm just gonna go splice those two pattern pieces together and cut out my apron. So quick update, I'm kind of dismissing a lot of this pattern altogether because it's weird. So one of the things that it has is a strap that goes from here down to the waist. That's fine with me, but somehow this little short strap is supposed to reach from here-ish, because it's a pretty low bib on this apron from here-ish all the way down to, you can see the problem here, where like, how the heck would this reach my waist? So yeah, I'm increasing that by a whole ton. I'm going to make this 31.5 inches long, which might be about an inch overkill, but that's also only an inch overkill because I'm planning to raise the top front center part, the bib, I guess, of the apron, because it looks like it's a decorative bib and I want a functional bib. So I'm gonna raise that up a little bit. And then, yeah, I'm cutting the skirt pieces as a square. I'm lengthening them because they're very short. Like, I guess this was cocktail length, I don't know. Again, I want this functional length, so I'm going to make mine 25 inches long, no, 25.5 inches long because of the seam allowance, and then I'm going to do just the width of the fabric for each panel minus that strap. So it does wind up widening the width of these a little bit. This is a multi-size pattern, by the way. It's a small, medium, large, but I'm going with like an extra large or an extra large, which is not in here, and obviously changing that length of the strap significantly. I haven't figured out how much the bib has to go up yet, but I'm sure it's going up. So I'm gonna change all those things and cut out my version of this pattern. I have just finished cutting out all of the pieces for this apron, and it is basically nothing like what it started like, but you kind of probably got that from the last clip. So I have the bib front, which I actually didn't wind up lengthening. I did increase the length right here in the center front just because this was a very deep sweetheart before that didn't really make sense to me as a functional apron. And then I also widened the bottom because again, it came in very, very narrow and not functional. So yeah, this is what I did for the bib, and the length though, it's the same as the pattern. And I cut this one out of the penguins, but then also a really, really close, but not exactly quite the same fabric for the back. So that was because I didn't want like to kind of see the penguins through as much as possible. So that's why I went with that just plain fabric for the lining, because these are going to be sewn right sides together all around the sides and top, and then turned right side out. And then the bottom is going to be incorporated into the waistband. Speaking of the waistband, I changed that as well. They had a wide waistband that you really weirdly folded, and then it seemed like it was missing a step where it should have been top stitched to the bib front and it wasn't, and yeah, so either I read that wrong or they did that just very, very strangely. I'm not going with that. I'm going with a two-piece waistband, an inside and an outside, which again, I cut the inside out of plain, outside out of the penguins, and this is basically just going to be sewn together one way and then like have the skirt incorporated and sewn down like that. When you sew together the one way, by the way, the bib is incorporated. I probably went into this in a lot more detail in last year's apron video, but the way that I'm doing this bib, it's exactly the same as last time. And when I get to that step, I will try to detail it a little bit more. And then I have 3 skirt pieces. The center one is cut on the fold, and then there are 2 side skirt pieces. And these I made all the same width, and then again, they're 25.5, I think, inches long. And the width is just slightly wider than the width of the ones that they had in the pattern, but I've cut it as a rectangle, not as weird zigzag pieces that you have to seam together. And then we already talked about the straps, so I did lengthen the straps. The ties I cut, I think, just longer. No, I cut them a different width as well. I really liked the width ties on my Victorian apron, and those are 1.75 inches wide. So this is just a strip that is, let me do this math really quickly, 4.5 inches wide, 1.75 times 2 plus seam allowance. So 4.5 inches wide, made them the whole width of the fabric, and these will basically get folded with the seams and stuck into the back part of the actual waistband and then done as ties. So very, very easy. It's all strips and squares and rectangles and all that, and everything should go together fine. So I am going to serge the skirt pieces. I believe those are the only pieces that I have to serge, as in like finish a seam. I'm pretty sure every single other seam is going to be enclosed. It's literally just the side seams of the skirt pieces. That's it. So I'm gonna do that. In fact, I might just do literally like the two sides of the front and then one side on each of the side backs, because the other one's going to be turned in as a hem, and I can start assembling this and just completely dismiss the instructions because they're weird. The one other thing that I changed is the pocket, because that's the only other piece left. And so I don't know where I put my pocket piece at the moment, but what I did was that pocket was A, there was only one, B, it was not going to fit my giant cell phone. So I increased the width and height of the pocket by 5/8 of an inch, and I made 2 of them. So I get to have 2 pockets. And yeah, now I'm all ready to put things together. So right now I am trying to determine the pocket placement before I sew this to the side seam. The pocket, by the way, is the only other piece that did need to be serged all the way around. And I've just kind of gathered it up, the skirt up, marking or keeping the center, and bringing this to probably about where that seam is going to hit, which is a little bit forward from the side, and then seeing kind of just where I want the pocket from there. So I want to be able to reach the bottom of my pocket, which I can right now, and I don't want it like too high because then it could get unflattering. So this seems to be just about the perfect place. It is probably about 3-ish inches from the side over here. Haven't measured how far it is from the top, but I'm just gonna stick a couple pins in it basically and then lay it out and match the other pocket on the other side. Then with the pockets, they are going to get the sides all folded in, so that's why you need to serge them, because the serging is exposed within the pocket, but the sides all get folded in except for the top, which gets folded double, and that top gets stitched first before the other ones get stitched to the pocket. So you just stitch the top fold to itself, and that's about it for pockets. So I'm gonna get to it. So here's my next dilemma. I am planning to do the rickrack trim with the zigzag, as I mentioned before, but I would really love to put rickrack around the pocket as well. I don't know if that is just like do it right here at the top, or maybe to do it around all the sides of the pocket, since I think that this winds up practically being the lower outline of the pocket anyway. Like literally it was off by maybe that much, and so I'm probably just going to make it there. But the problem is they only had 1 packet of this navy blue at my Joann's, and although they were supposed to have 3 other packets, we looked all over, we could not find them, and the next nearest one is like a half hour away. And I want to finish this, you know, today or tomorrow. So the thing is that if I do anything on the top of the pocket, it really needs to be done first. And if I do anything like sides, I would basically have to sew on the front and leave this bit hanging, and then I could put it on once I put on the pocket. But this seam has to be sewn first, obviously, before it's put onto the apron itself, or it would get sewn to the apron. So yeah, that's my dilemma, because if I went and did that, I will be short on the skirt, so it could not be continuous. I have enough of this to do the skirt, and then it would wind up being like this much times 2 left on the end. So not even enough to just do the pocket top. But I just feel like it kind of blends in. And of course, if I do this, then I also probably want to put the rickrack on the bib of the apron as well. It's just that I have to decide now what goes right there. So I'm thinking maybe I'll take a look at stuff in my stash, see if anything goes well with the rickrack as like a secondary trim, see if that will work. So I have 2 other trims that could potentially work. I have this lace that's kind of a cruddy looking older, probably like 90s lace, but maybe just from the inside of the pocket to just peek out like that, and then I could do it at the top of the bib as well to carry that over. That could be an option. And then I also have this chenille vintage trim that it's almost got like 2 different option sides here, because I think this is actually the right side with the little pluses on it, but it also has this one with the little dashes on it. So I don't know, I could do one of those like in addition. I cannot get it to lay flat with one hand. I could do one of those in addition, or I could just do the lace. I'm not sure which I prefer. I wish I had more rickrack, but yeah, I think one of those with the lace probably is the option, because I don't think I like the look of it without the lace. It is just, maybe there's a section that's flatter. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it without the lace. I don't know that I'm a fan of it at all, to be honest. And I tried the lace down, but it's bound with black, which is weird. And so I would have to hide that because I don't like the look of that. But, I don't know. Maybe I just leave the pockets plain. Ugh, I just cannot get over the rickrack trim on the top of it. Like, I took the rickrack over here to the top of what will be the bib portion too, and it just looks so perfect. It makes it look so much more vintage. I just love it. So I guess it's going to be worth me taking a trip to a faraway Joann's to finish this. But for now, I am going to use the rickrack that I have on the tops of the pockets, both of them, because that has to be the first step, or at least it does if I'm putting in the pockets. And then I'll just like run out on the skirt and piece it together with when I can get another package. And oh my god, what if I can't find another package? But I'm gonna make it work. Dora decided she wanted to be in this bit of the vlog, but she jumped up on my table literally as I was pressing stop. So here's some quality Dora content. She is stealing my apron and getting her face squished. But Dora, I have to now continue working on the apron. So thanks very much, little sweetie. My navy blue thread has gone missing, and I had enough bobbin to put the rickrack on one pocket, but then it ran out. So I feel like I'm taking this as a sign that I am not meant to be working on this right now. I'm pretty exhausted, and even though it's like way before my bedtime and I have a video to edit for you guys. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it, not finish this today at all, like not even remotely. None of the pieces are assembled. I have one pocket pinned on, and I did mark the placement for the zigzag on half of the front of the skirt piece. But yeah, I mean, I could do other pieces, like sew the skirt pieces together, sew the apron top piece together. I could do a whole lot, honestly, before I need to put that pocket on. I could do almost the entire apron. And maybe I will, but I think I just need to like sit for a while and, I don't know, maybe go to bed 2 hours early or something stupid like that. I've had zero energy since Comic-Con. Like, I've taken naps at lunch. I almost took a nap earlier today, like after work. And yeah, I've just had zero energy. And I guess that is what, a week and a half, 2 weeks of like 6 hours of sleep almost every night will do for you. It is now the next day. I am feeling much more well rested, and although I didn't work on this last night, I did wind up editing the video about Emerald City Comic Con that I think will have been the last video before this one. So if you have not already seen that, I will link that up above and then down below. You can go check that out. But now it is back to this apron. So first off, I did go and I put on hold at the Joann's that's like 20-30 minutes from here. I did put on hold 2 packets actually of the rickrack. I called to make sure that they had it, and I'll be picking that up tomorrow. So I can't get into the rickrack stuff today. Obviously I won't be finishing the apron today, but I should be able to do everything with the exception of the rickrack, I think, today. And then we'll get to that stuff tomorrow after I pick up the rickrack and also more navy blue thread, since I still can't find my thread. The rest of this luckily doesn't have to have navy blue thread. So the first thing I'm going to do is sew the front and the back of the bib together. They're just going to get sewn right sides together and then turned right side out with clipping the corners and all of that sort of stuff, and that will be done. I'm also going to sew the 3 skirt panels together, and then at that point I can potentially look at putting things on the waistband. I know I can put the skirt on the waistband. What I don't know is, with getting this extra rickrack, do I want rickrack on the sides of the bodice or sides of the bib? So I'm gonna, once I put the bib together, I'm gonna play with the rickrack and see, do I want it just here or do I want it all the way up here? If I want it all the way up here, it needs to go into the seam. Therefore, I can't put it into the waistband, and the bib portion of the waistband, maybe I don't have to do that one first. Maybe I can do the skirt part first. Maybe that doesn't really matter, but in any case, they both have to be done. So yeah, we'll figure out some order things, but I'm gonna go do that bit of sewing first and at least get that out of the way. So I've decided that I definitely like the rickrack trim going all the way around the bib. It just looks super, super cute. And So I need to put the rickrack trim on the bib, and of course can't find the thread that I need yet. So I'm pretty sure though that I can go ahead and first off, I can hem the apron skirt, both the sides and the bottom. I should be able to just hem those just fine. And then also I should be able to gather it up and put it on the waistband, and then I will just close up the waistband around the bib. I think that should work fine, especially because it's just that really short area on the bib. So I think that'll be okay. And so that's what I'm going to go ahead and try. And hey, maybe I'll unearth my missing navy blue thread at some point and actually be able to sew the rest of the rickrack that I already have on, because I know I have a full spool of navy blue thread somewhere. Newsflash, I found the navy thread. It had fallen off the side of my table into the giant pile of junk in the corner that I really desperately need to clean. So maybe that's a sign, but I can proceed with the rickracking of the apron. So I'm actually just gonna go ahead and sew rickrack A on the top of the pocket so that I can put the pocket on, and B around the bib so that I can put the bib on normal way, and everything's proceeding apace. The skirt portion of the apron is now done. I turned the hems on all 3 sides and then gathered up the top sides, just running gathering stitches on the machine. And then as you can see, I do have both pockets on now. So I got the rickrack on the second pocket and put that on. I also got the rickrack on the bib. I really love how it looks. By the way, please let me know, at least one of you let me know if you already see the answer below. Don't all let me know. When you put on rickrack, do most people sew it on both sides following each side's zigzag? That is what I did, but it seems like a lot of work. But there were parts of this that were like flipped from the package, and I didn't want it to flip up while I was wearing it at all. So I sewed on both sides, but that's a lot of work. I know I'm not gonna get your answer before I put the rickrack on the skirt portion as well, but as you can maybe see, I have orange lines drawn out on here, which will be where that rickrack goes all the way around. I'm just gonna wait, I think though, until I get the second package, because there's definitely not enough on here to do the full apron. I would wind up almost getting 2 pieces of the apron. Probably not even actually, because that's not following the zigzag. So I'd probably wind up like with a seam right in the center. I don't want that. So I'm gonna start with a fresh package, and I will save that little bit of extra for whatever. But the skirt portion again, that is done other than attaching it and putting the rickrack on, which means it's time to attach it. So I'm going to pull the gathering stitches up to be, I think I did it to like 37 inches or something like that, the length of the waistband. And then there'll be a little bit of a gap, and then enough gap to tie the ties of the apron. So the ties of the apron, I might actually do that first, because those just get seamed down one side, you know, folded right sides together, seamed down, turned inside out with the tube turners, turned right side out with the tube turners, and that's it. And then they will just get attached to the waistband. So I think ties are going to be next. And while I'm at it, I might as well just do the strap ties too. It's the same exact sort of thing, except a different piece. I'm not going to put the strap ties on until I have the waistband and everything together, obviously. So that will honestly probably be the very last thing that I do, other than the missing rickrack. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do the ties, and then we will put everything in with the waistband. All right, so we've gotten to the confusing part, which is the waistband. So the waistband, I've already sewn it on here to the gathers. This was, like I talked before, right sides together, making sure that the penguins on the waistband face up. Right now it's upside down, so anyway, they do face up. You can kind of see it through here. They face up. And so that is all done. Now I am putting on, Dora, this video wasn't about you. Dora, I'm trying to talk about my apron. Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me. Can I have this? I'm in the middle of a video. Can you move your butt, please? Thank you. So now I am putting, really? Dora, can I talk to them? Okay, so now I'm putting on the straps. I just kind of arbitrarily, that's a pin, Dora, that's not very smart. I kind of arbitrarily decided that I would make a mark 2 inches from the end over here. This does include, this part is seam allowance, there's 1/2 inch seam allowance there. So 2 inches from the end is where I would start this strap. And you have to make sure that when you flip the strap up, oh shoot, it just dawned on me. Wait, I think I'm gonna switch this because I think I would rather have really? I think I would rather have the pattern looking vertical from the front because it's one strap. So, I mean, it's going to be upside down somewhere. So I'm going to switch this now that I've pinned this on, but I want the pattern to be vertical in the front. Right now it's vertical in the back. So anyway, what you do want for sure is you want these to angle in this way down here as you pin them, because that means they'll angle in this way up here when you go to cross them. So again, I'm going to switch these so that I can get the vertical part of the design in the front facing right side up. But once I do that, I'm also going to pin the bib to the front of the waistband over here, making sure that you match your centers. And that's going to be right sides together. And then the other thing that we have to add onto here is the strap for the waist. So I have the straps here. These are the ties, I mean, for the waist. And you're going to take whatever side is, yep, there we go, penguins facing up. And so that onto here. This is hard to do one-handed, especially while a cat is trying to grab my camera. Hey, cat, stop grabbing my camera. Dora, really? So this is going to be like this right here, where the edge is there and the pattern is facing up on the outside. I know in the inside it looks like it's facing down because it is. And then we are going to take the solid piece, which is the backing here, and we're just going to kind of encase all of that. So you want to make sure that you don't get the tie part stuck in the seam, but this part of the strap you do want stuck in the seam. And so you are just going to, this is all really hard to do one-handed, you're going to go like this. The tie strap is going to be in there as well, but you're going to sew up here and around there all the way around until it gets the other side and go down again. Then we're going to press this and flip it and stitch in the ditch. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully Dora wasn't too distracting. I know you were paying more attention to Dora than to my apron, but I don't blame you. And I'm going to go put that all together if I can have my apron back. So assuming that I put this on right now, I can show you what I mean. So opening this up, which is the backing right here, and I did already clip this corner too, but you can see over here that we have the tie for the waist. And so let's get that out of the way. And then we also have the strap from the back, which is an upside down motif here, so that by the time it gets over to the front, it will be a right side up motif. These guys are right side up. And then coming over here, we can flip up the bib. See, I kind of like what that rickrack looks like on the back too, from stitching it down both sides. But anyway, we can flip up the bib and it will look like that. This will get tucked down right there, pressed along here, and this bottom edge here will get pressed in like that so that we will have a nice clean edge encasing everything there. So lots of pressing to do, but that is really it for the waistband. I'll press it and I'll stitch in the ditch right along in here. And then the only thing left to do will be to attach this end of the strap to the bib and then get the rickrack tomorrow and put the rickrack on the skirt. That worked just fine, and the apron is now all nicely stitched in the ditch with everything coming out at appropriate angles. So now we can add the straps. So in order to get the straps the right length, I pulled them over my back, crossing them like that. I've tied the apron on at the waist, obviously, and then I have the bib right here. My straps are super long. I guess I did not need to lengthen them nearly so much as I thought from the pattern. Yeah, so they're super long. I'm going to wind up cutting off the excess, but in the meantime, I can pin them in place right here to the bib. I think I've got 3.5 to 4 inches of excess to cut off, but yeah, I'm gonna pin them in place, mark where that is, give myself about like 1/2 inch to 1 inch, something like that, and serge off anything past that, and then just sew it in place. I'm probably gonna like top stitch it along the rickrack so that it blends in really well with the stitches on the rickrack, and then this is done until tomorrow when I get the rickrack for the skirt. for me on this project. It is all done and I'm super, super happy with how it turned out. I think it's gonna do a really great job of like preventing food spillage as well. So I am going to go eat my dinner in this, which if you were curious is a banh mi bowl. It's one of my favorite things to make. Anyway, I am in love with this apron. I love that it's like holiday, but it's still okay to wear all year round because it's just penguins and trees and snowmen. I love the pockets, and this is gonna be super, super functional, and I'm gonna use this all the time because you also won't be able to see spills very easily, so I can just throw this in the laundry if I do spill on it. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you liked this video, please go ahead and click the thumbs up icon. And if you'd like to see more videos like this from me, please go ahead and click subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. I do post videos here on YouTube twice a week with my sewing vlogs like this out on Tuesdays and other costuming content out on Saturdays, but I post every day over on my Instagram, so please go follow me on Instagram. That's at Lady Rebecca Fashions. And if you'd like to help support all of the work that I do on this channel, I do have a link to my Patreon and my Ko-fi down in the description below. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my Edwardian level patrons, Sharon and Julie. Thank you all so, so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Happy